Hello, I'm Jose, and this is the Cinematic Dogma Podcast. I'm joined, as every week, by my mesmerizing friend, Blake.
I'm just out of puns. It's been like 3 episodes and no puns. I'll have to find a cure for that.
Oh, what did we watch this time?
This time, I picked a film that either came out in 1997 or 2001 called just Cure, without the,
Q.
brought to us by not Akira Kurosawa, a different Kurosawa. Don't get them confused. They're very different.
Kiyoshi Kurosawa.
Kiyoshi, that's what it was. Kiyoshi Kurosawa, which, as I said, was my pick.
Yeah. Why did you pick this?
I don't have a good answer for you. I have a very informal, hey, this might be worth watching later list that I keep. And when we were starting to talk about it, I was like, now may be the time. You typically like Japanese films.
Yep.
So that was an added bonus.
Yeah. And as this was your pick, before I actually go into summarizing, fun fact, when I was watching it, I went to check like what else did Kiyoshi Kurosawa directed, and he directed a movie called Pulse.
Like P-U-L-S-E?
P-U-L-S-E. And I actually have it in a DVD, and I never watched it. It was only like when I was like, oh, Pools, that it has like the original title is Cairo or something like that, and it's like I remember like having like seen like the title and having the DVD, and I never watched it. So I think that is like just in the future is like maybe we can review that.
So did you watch it after you figured this out, or still you've never seen it?
I haven't watched it yet.
Okay,
I have it pending, so yeah, we can watch it in the future. But yeah, as this was your pick, now I guess that I have to summarize it.
Yes, you do.
And let's see, just help me out because I'm going to be like pretty bad with the names. But this is like a police thriller, and it follows an investigation of not really a serial killer, but a series of murders that they happened where a person kills someone else close to them, and they murder them in the same way that they made like a cross across their throat, chest area. These murders are not really like related one to each other.
Or are they?
Or are they? The person that committed the murder doesn't really they remember that they did it, but they cannot really explain why they did it. It just felt like something normal. So most of the scenes most of the stories they following like this detective Takabe, I think.
Takabe, yes.
Takabe's
the detective. Mamiya
is the detective.
You weren't talking about
Mamiya we can go after that later. How he actually investigates like this story, how he interviews like some of the alleged murders, and how he started like connecting the dots to come up with a theory about like these people, all of them, they may have interacted with someone, but they were hypnotized or mesmerized by someone before committing these crimes. So then we actually are given like the other part of the story about, it's like chronologically parallel to it. So is that we're also like given there is this weird guy that interacted with everyone, and at the beginning we don't have like an exposition of actually he may be the one like pushing things over. And this is something that maybe is something that you connect the dots like in the first 30 minutes of the movie, and then it's a bit more of a cat and mouse kind of a story about like how he's going to be like getting to who exactly is this person, what are they doing, how are they motivating this. It jumps a bit into science fiction, I mean more like fantasy. It's like it doesn't care too much about explaining like the basics of it, just jumping into a bit of the horror part of he's able to hypnotize, and there is like some kind of history of hypnosis in the country where this comes from, almost like a ritual. And I don't know if I should give away everything.
I am going to request we stop there because
Okay.
I found the experience of watching the film and discovering whatever you didn't
Yeah.
say fairly rewarding. So,
Yep. The only thing that I could say is like the last act is very interesting how it was shot, and maybe we'll go into details or maybe not. If
so
you
I
agree
think you
with
did a
it.
great job summarizing it. The only thing I would object to,
Oh
and
yeah.
I think it's just because it misleads people, is that the rest of the film turns into a cat and mouse game. There's very little like typical thrillerness in this. It's all very heavily without
It's more
emotion and symbolic
psychological.
and
Yeah.
yeah. So that's it's a tone thing. I don't want people to think
Yeah.
this is like I can't think of a shitty thriller. Phone Booth. This is not Phone Booth. This is like a sad
Yeah, no,
Japanese
no,
man walk
it's
around.
more elaborated than that, you know. And the other thing that I didn't mention, Takabe's wife, clearly she has some psychological problem, and she's being treated for it. So we see her like from time, like going to the doctor, and it builds like some tension around like, oh, are they going to be like crossing paths with the alleged motivator of these murders? At least I spent like most of the movie like just wondering like, oh my god, is this like when they're going to be interacting with it, and how he plays? There is a bit of psychological cat and mouse from the perspective of how he doesn't want to share part of his life with him, with Takabe doesn't want to share like part of his life with Mamiya, and clearly Mamiya is trying to get that information for getting to him.
Yeah, yeah. There's definitely psychological games for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, but let me just stop here. Did you like it?
Let me put it this way. I fucking loved the experience of watching this movie 100%. And I went like deep, deep down the rabbit hole of analysis by like academics in cinema because there's a whole lot in this. And I
Yeah.
actually described this film to my husband as it's kind of like a playground where I don't want to ride all of the equipment or use all of it, but I want to go around and inspect it thoroughly and figure out what
Yep.
it is, right? And so not all of it, again, to carry on the metaphor, is stuff that I liked, but I loved like
Going on
unpacking
the
this.
trip.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to keep away a tiny bit about like the third act, because there was like the part is like, hey, I'm having a good time like watching this movie. It's a thriller, like a police thriller, and I think that the third act does like something super interesting. That after they interact with Mamiya, and they even know that is interacting with him may change your perception. The movie takes a turn towards more surreal, and it's almost like, hey, it's not only about like the characters are behaving in weirder ways or they are hallucinating specific things, but they may be making up specific parts, and we as the audience like jump into a bit more of a not really unreliable narrator, but a bit of a descent into madness narrator, and the director is not willing to separate things out.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think in a bigger picture, so we never see Mamiya do any violence. Honestly, we don't see him do much but ask questions, and those like
Yeah.
repeated questions just chip away at the identity of these people. And once they forget who they are, on a psychological sense, they don't have amnesia. They start to just be completely unstable and do things that seem
Yeah.
normal but don't have the motivation like you talked about. And
Yeah.
it's really
Yeah.
jarring.
Yeah, but the first couple of acts is like we see it as an audience. It's like, and also the main characters, they also see it as an audience, you know. But it's like on the third act, it's like we get to experience it, like not only like second hand about like, oh, the characters are going through this, and we are still an audience of it. Is that I think that he takes the decision of just like changing the structure of the movie and making you go through that trip with them.
I agree, and I'm embarrassed. I don't know who wrote this. Is it the same guy as the director? Regardless, like the architecture of this film is so specific and so precise that it reminded me. And I know we say this a lot, but it's almost the same game that Hanukkah plays, but where Hanukkah is
yeah.
like, I'm going to play with you and kind of wag my finger at you, hoping for something. This film is just like, hey, I'm going to expose these things inside you. Isn't that interesting? There's no judgment. It's just, what the. And that's interesting
Yep.
to me. Super interesting.
Yep. Yep, yep. And he was playing like with the main character about like it reminded me of Haneke because it reminded me a tiny bit of Amor about like, hey, what about like someone that is like trapped, like taking care of someone else? It's like, can they break? And it's like the conundrum here about like, hey, he's like at the same time like facing, I need to bring this guy down, but I know that he may bring me down because I'm a very clear target for this, because I may have an internal motivation already for doing something terrible. So I feel
Yeah.
it's like, oh yeah, this is like pretty fucking layer
It's so
from what I was
fucking
expecting.
layered, and it was so gratifying. I won't say that I read the film completely alone. Obviously, I'm not smart, but like when you can read reading after reading and it's defensible and it's interesting and it's caused this like huge spectrum of thought and about what this means, just full on success. 10 out of 10 just for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like really impressed, and it actually just like left me wishing that it's like, why the fuck didn't I watch that other movie? Like pause, because probably it was as good as this. What a dumbass I am. And the funny
And
thing
you
is
owned
like,
it.
yeah, and I own it. I don't know why I never watch it. But I think that the description that you gave me of this movie, it was like, oh, this is going to be like a slow burn thriller. It's like, dude, there was nothing here that I felt like a slow burn. Is that I love like the murderous scenes that they're like so clinical that it made me like, this is Haneke. This is motherfucking Haneke.
Probably you just stated what I meant to state better. It's not a slow burn. It's just not, there's no emotion. It's so
Yep. It's
clinical.
clinical.
There's no
Yep.
music telling you how you should feel. It's just,
How to
oh,
feel,
this
yeah.
happened and it doesn't make sense and it makes sense at the same time.
Yep. Yep. It's zero exposition. Well, zero exposition. A tiny bit of exposition. I don't like when they find the books and it's like, oh my god, there is this person called Mesmer, and they repeat like 50 times the name. That is like, I get it. You guys have been talking about hypnosis the whole movie. It's like, why are we doing this now? Why is it so important? What is this fetish of a German doctor called Mesmer? But the thing is that there may be a tiny bit of a cultural part. That is, this may be like attached in the 90s. I don't know. You remember that there was like a resurgence of all of these like spiritualist like things, and maybe in Japan like was like pretty deep, and it was like what motivated like this specific story.
Interesting. Yeah, I hadn't put that together. I did, of course, think about like the serial killer, like big trends in the
Yeah.
90s and how they went deep into psychology, like Seven, right? And I feel like this film goes there, but it's also so intellectually precise. It doesn't need any sort of sensation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
don't know.
because it doesn't give you like that many motivations, it's a bit more of like, well, yep, 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 he can do it. And then it's like how even like in the third act when you're starting to see it's like, oh, but maybe this is a bit more of the internal desire of trying to justify or make sense of things while they're going crazy.
Right? And if things aren't working like they're supposed to, how can you possibly work like yours? I don't know. I just like this
Yeah.
film a lot.
Yeah. I like it too. And I was like honestly like nodding like several times about like
Yeah,
good
this is a good
pick.
movie. Or a
Good
movie.
pick. Yeah, it's just, yeah. And it was a bit of oh yeah, it's like this is a good reminder of how good Japanese horror thrillers can be. And
I
it's not about
agree.
like high octane, or anything. It's a bit more about like, hey, we're not going to go crazy with the special effects and the lights. It's a bit more about like building tension, because when you actually connect the dots of oh, this is the this is the bad guy, and it's pretty early again. It's like from that point onward, it's like every time that he's on the scene, it's like, no, he's going to be using the lighter, or he's going to be like doing something with water.
I'm pausing because you reminded me of like four other things I wanted to talk about because there's so much to talk about in this film. What a pleasure. This was like a pleasure to watch.
Yeah. The funny thing is, a couple of well, one more funny thing is that last month I was, because of external reasons, in Spain unexpectedly, and they were playing in the local film association that they have in Valencia, they were playing a cycle about this director.
No way. Well, now I'm super
Yep.
interested. We should watch Polls.
Yeah, definitely. Uh, do we want to spoil this movie more, or do we stop here?
I don't know. I mean, this film is 30 years old, but also just I think going into it, me not knowing much, made it super enjoyable. So I think we
Yeah,
just leave it here and just say, I think we both liked it, but there's a lot here. Like, just go experience it.
yeah. And the thing is, there is the more the movie progresses, the more it feels like it's like, oh yeah, it's building upon this, and it's building upon this more and more, and the psychology of the characters is like pretty good. So yeah, definitely great. Okay, let's just go over the questions. So Blake, would you watch Cure again?
Yes, and soon. I think this film was so carefully made. I missed probably a lot, and it would be even more fun going and finding more things. So yes.
Yeah, I do agree. I think that there may be even more details that now that you know where it's going to go, that you can observe. It's like the third
Yes.
act that you feel is like, oh, okay, this is what it's about. Maybe you can observe like more clearly some of those hints about like where are you going to go.
Agreed.
Uh, would you remember? Sorry, would you recommend Cure?
Yes, carefully though. This is it's not work to watch, but you have to have a certain level of sophistication, I think, to watch this film. No. In terms of like taking in super symbolic, like metaphorical, it's like going to see a painting that you might not understand, except you have the headphones on to explain things. That's how I would say. So I wouldn't recommend it to somebody who just loves Marvel Cinematic Universe. Oh yeah, 100%.
I mean, it's true that it's a bit slow. I already recommended it to someone, and I said that it's like, hey, I think that this is a good movie. At least I was like really surprised about it. Uh, the only reservation that I may have is that it's not really a slow burn, but the pace is not a frantic one either.
Yeah.
It's a bit more of constant. Of hey, you're not going to have like a spikes of action and then just coming back. It's like nope, it's just constant. The story progresses. There are like some revelations, but everything is like a step by step by step. That's the reason why I was not that afraid of spoiling some parts, because I think that it's about like the journey itself, and I think that for some people that may feel less satisfactory.
100%. It'll be frustrating to a lot of people, I think.
But I would still recommend it. Probably not to my parents, and there is not too much nudity, but there is a bit of gore.
Yeah.
There is, yeah. There is a specific,
Yes,
well, a
there
couple
is.
of scenes that they're like, oh yeah, this is gore. Would you remember Kier?
Oh, that's a tough one. I think the answer is no. Not because it's not worth remembering. I just feel like it's just not like this clean narrative, right? It's more contemplation on my end. So no, I will say I would probably forget the vast majority of this.
I I think that I would remember at least like the gist of it. I may not remember all the big themes or like specific story beats, but I would remember like the overall of a series of killings, detective like tormented by his life, and blah blah blah. But,
That's fair.
you know what movie that reminded me to,
What movie?
without giving a much about, also Cassette from
Tell me
Haneke.
more. It doesn't sound crazy, but why?
Because it's also like very clinical and is more interested about like explosion of violence, or more like explosive violence, like self-contained violence in specific points, and then just like dealing with the uncertainty of the actions. Is more about like building the dread and the threat, you know. But it
Yes.
doesn't. It's not a concern on the here you go, clean resolution, you are done, good job.
I agree. I agree. You stated it very well. It's like contained violence in very like controlled situations, but the
like
violence itself
bursts.
isn't. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, but burst, but in a controlled manner. It's not about like, oh my god, it's a bit like, no, no, they're like just killing that person. Yep, let's continue. Yep. Is there, and now, like very appropriately, is there anything artistic about Kier?
Yes. Period. No, I this is exactly the sort of complex, the layered film that I like. That I think it's fairly difficult to write, let alone direct and act. Yes, very much so.
Yeah, I agree. I think that this script is like really really good. And I was telling my boyfriend while we were watching it that is I love the cinematography that it is. Like it's like the mid size of some of the takes. That is like it's not like a close up, but it's not really like super detached. But it's like
At
clinical
an
enough.
arm's length.
Correct. It was like, okay, there is a deliberate cinematography decision here, and you are sticking to it. And I like it because it's very intentional and it works pretty well for just allowing me to be audience, but knowing my role. That is like, it's not only audience as I'm watching the movie, it's like audience for the scene, similar to Fincher or Haneke.
Yes, and that's the level of thought that went into absolutely everything, in my opinion. So you may not like the thought, but this was a carefully crafted film.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think that is a timeless piece now that it's almost 30 years old?
Yeah, yeah, completely. There's nothing. No, yes.
Yeah, it is one of those. I mean, we always joke about like, would this movie have been solved in 10 minutes if they had phones? No, probably not. It's not the point either.
No, no, it's the contemplation leading up to it. Yes.
Yeah. Would you turn this into a TV show?
I think the format could work. I hesitate because I feel like it would make it very like flashy and cliffhangers and stuff. But if you were to really take the source material and apply it to episodic series, yes, that would be fine.
Yeah, I think I think that I agree. I think that is a movie that extending it a tiny bit more, but given like the kind of structure that it has, like right now, there is different stories, and progress of the investigation on parallel. I think that it would work like pretty well for just building even more tension, as long as it's like 6 episodes long or so.
Yeah, this is not like a 30-minute episode. Yeah.
Now, could this have been a short? And now it's 1 hour and 51 minutes.
I don't think so. I really don't. Or at least I would have gotten a significant amount less enjoyment. So I'm gonna say keep it more than an hour.
Yeah. I think that is every single story, because you could say that is like, let's just remove like 3 of these victims, 3 of these murders, and you could say like you can still have most of the same story beats, but I had the feeling that that's not fair, because those stories are there for building more tension, because you care about the main character. Is building like more tension about like, are their paths going to be crossing, how are they going to be crossing, what is going to happen. So each one of them is like just like a step closer. I don't know if you realize, but it's that they get like closer to the hospital, and it's that then it's actually like to the clinic, that is like, oh my god, it's going to be like crossing paths with the wife.
Yeah, I agree. I think every single murder shows the pattern that we see over and over, but it gives one extra piece. And particularly if you pay attention to how the X evolves, like the X changes. Yeah. And I think you have to see all those murders for it to be as effective. But anyway, I see your point, yes.
Yeah. Hey. And last but not least, do you think Cure could have been better?
I'm just going to say no. I don't think it's a perfect film, but it's pretty damn good, and nothing stands out as a problem.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's like a pretty good movie, and I cannot see any specific piece at fault here, or things that I would say that is like, oh my god, you have been even better if I change this. I don't touch it. Yeah. These were all the questions, so let's score this bad boy. And this was your pick, so I guess that I have to score it first.
You sure do.
And I'm going to go, sorry, I always cheat a tiny bit because I go and look back into the last 10-15 movies that we score, and I try to come up with something that I feel that I'm not going to regret 1 month when I look back. I'm going to go cheating again, and I'm going to go. No, I'm not going to cheat. I'm going to go with an 8.5.
I'm happy that you liked it that much. Not that I recommended it, but I liked it even more at a 9.25.
Oh my gosh.
A rare quarter point for me. It's not a 9.5, but it's more than a 9. It is.
I can see that. I can see the mathematical truth that you speak, Blake. No, thank you so much for bringing it up. I was like really surprised, and it's once again, it's like that layer part, because sometimes it's like I think that when we talk about American cinema being layer, we talk about something like The Game, that it has more like twists and turns.
No, you talk about The Game. I talk about Kelly Reichardt's last 15 movies. There are big differences.
Sure. What I think is like when we're talking about thrillers, that they are layer. Okay, because Kelly Reichardt, her idea of a thriller is the mastermind. She's not exactly a
That was
thriller.
thrilling.
Let's just go. Sure. That was like a slow burn thriller. But yeah, I love that movie. Don't get me wrong. But it's like when we're talking about like Hollywood, how they interpret like thrillers that they are layer, is more about like how many twists and turns do they have.
Yes.
And this was a bit more of the multi-layer of reads that you can have on specific points, and like the dread of the characters that I felt is like, this shit is not hard to pull. It's not easy to pull. It's like it's fucking challenging. So I was like
And
really
he
impressed.
just killed it.
That it worked.
He killed it. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, bravo. At the beginning, I was thinking, like, is it going to be that dumb, like this story? And it's like, oh no, it can be that dumb, but it's more about like how you do it, and that's like something mind blowing to me. That is, the premises are not good or bad. It's about like what you do with
The
them.
execution.
And
Yep.
this sounded like a dumb premise, and it was incredibly like crafted.
M. Night Shyamalan would have butchered this. Let's just say that.
Oh, Darren Aronofsky would have gotten the rights to this to butcher it in a singular
I'd
scene
love to see an
of Requiem
Aronofsky
for a
version.
Dream. Yeah. But yeah, to everyone out there, thank you so much for putting up with us. Go watch this movie.
Go watch it, and until next time.
Bye.